Hey, welcome back to Project Cummins. Today we're finally going to be talking about how to get the 37-inch military tire with the military rims on the truck. So, for the Dodges, the backspacing is all wrong and it makes it really hard to do this. But you can achieve it by spacers. Now, what you see here is a 2-inch spacer. You have to use the lug nuts and studs that come with it. The lug nut, as soon as I get off of here, goes down in these holes. So, new lug nut here, old lug nut will go on these. And for the back, that's where we're going to be starting, just so we can jump on in this. And yeah, let's get it on. Okay, so to get the lug nuts on, we're using this 21mm thin wall socket. The reason we have to use a thin wall is because a thick wall won't fit. So we want to get them in there and we want to get them just hand tight. You don't want to use any impact wrench or any power tool of any nature, because if it stops or like it catches here, you need to take it all the way back out, see what's the matter, clean it, and put it back so you prevent it from stripping. So we want to put them in by hand, just hand tight, like that. And go all the way around. Have been put in hand tight onto the old threads through the new spacer. What you want to do is get out a torque wrench, and you want to set your torque wrench between 140 and 160 pounds. We got ours set to 150, and we're just going to go through here. It's a little easier doing this in the back because as you're tightening down, the wheel won't move. But in the front, you'll have to use something to block the threads because it will eventually move. Now that everything's torqued down to spec, what we want to do is get this tire formed over the spacer and then get the lug nuts on for it. And then we want to check for clearance issues. And like I said before, all the clearance issues are in the caliper for the brakes. So we'll get it on, we'll check and see if there's any issue. Once you get the wheel fitted over the spacer there, you want to get the old lug nuts and you want to get them hand tight on the threads. So you've already come to a problem and it stopped. Won't go any further without force. So we want to take it off. We want to clean the inside of this, clean up all of the gunk around this, and then we want to be able to get it hand tight down to the rim. Now that they're all hand tight down to the rim, we need to get back out our torque wrench and set them down to 150 pounds again. Once again, you can do this between 140 and 160, but we go right for the middle. Also, you might need an extension because it barely passes by the rubber. So go ahead and get those all torqued down. Now the wheel's on, we're underneath the truck, we're kind of looking at the space. See that gap? That is just enough to clear. Now an even better way to do this would be 2 1/4 inch. How can you do a 1/4 inch? Well, they make little universal adapters that you can put on before the big spacer to get you that extra 1/4 inch. But for now, this will do. One nice little option about this is with your stock cap, you could still use it on this rim. Now, some of you may not be really interested in doing that, but just to show you that this does work. Check that out. Looks pretty sweet if you ask me. So now that we've got the back done, we're going to go ahead and jack up the front, get that tire off, and we'll get started on it. Now that we got the tire and wear off, we can just kind of take a look in here and see what's going on. As you can tell, this spacing is not as big as the one on the back. In fact, the one on the back is probably another 1 to 2 inches. And if we were to use a 2-inch spacer on here, it would probably come out to right about there, leaving us with about another 1 to 2 inches to go to clear. So there's a couple ways you could tackle this here. You can swap out hubs and get rear hubs to the front, or you can use about a 3-inch spacer. Now I don't have a 3-inch spacer. I have this real nice 2-inch spacer just like I do on the back. So how are we going to make this fit? Well, we're actually going to use 2 spacers. Yeah, I know. Not the best idea, but I don't plan on running this around like this for very long, just until I can get my nice new 3-inch spacers. So let's go ahead and get this one tightened down, and we'll move on from there. As we're putting these on here, I just want to make the little note that you have to have a lug nut like this. You see this beveled end? This is going to sit in there and hold it tight. You can't use the ones with flat bottoms with little stars on the bottom. They don't hold properly. These do. You have to use these. And the stock ones work out just fine because they also have the beveled end at the bottom. They're going to sit inward and actually hold it on. So let me get this go ahead and tighten up to 150 pounds, and then we'll be right back. As I was saying about the back before, you're going to have to get something to stop this from moving while you're tightening them down, because this is all free flowing. So I just got a brick. I'm going to put it here and tighten all these down to 150 pounds. Okay, so now that we have the first one tightened down and the second one on here, and it's not tightened down, it just needs to be tightened up. You can see to here is about how long the hubs were on the back, about like that. So, I mean, that's pretty much what you're going to get if you change them out. And then adding this onto here, I mean, it's basically the same thing. But you have to remember, the front actually, I believe, sticks out more on the back. I believe so. I don't know. Anyhow, so I want to go ahead and get these tightened down, and then we can get the tire on, tighten it down, and see what the clearance is like. Okay, so now that we got the tire on the front, we can get behind here and look at our clearance. You can see back there pretty well, and I don't know how well it's going to show up on the camera, but that actually can go back about another inch. So 3-inch spacers is what it's going to have to be. Other than that, there's really no other clearance issues. Everything looks pretty good over here too. Well, what do you guys think? Was that worth the wait or what? Truck looks pretty sweet, and from a distance it looks like everything's pretty level and copacetic. But as we get up here, we find out it does stick out a little bit. Probably about a good 2 inches. So there's really nothing you can do about getting around sticking out a little bit. Okay, but in the back, excuse me, if anything, in the back, that's pretty much dead on. So, but yeah, I say she looks good, even with the stock covers. I mean, whew, looks good to me. Okay, so looking for more clearance issues, and we started up, and as we can see, there is some more clearance issues. So turning's kind of limited with these things on. So we can either trim them, or yeah, that's about it. We can probably trim them. Same thing on the other side, just when turning the opposite direction. You see a crink in there. But I mean, come on, look at it. Oh yeah. That's it, guys. That's her with it installed. I think she looks sweet. 37-inch tires on a 2-inch leveling kit, and it pretty much works except for the one clearance, like I said earlier, is going to be right here. So we might be doing something later to trim that up. That'll probably be another video. But while we get the chance, why don't we go ahead and go over some frequently asked questions. Let's do some frequently asked questions here. Why do these tires? And I got that a lot. Why go through all the trouble and pain in the ass with these tires? Well, these 37-inch tires over my stock 31s look hella nice. Hella nice. Much thicker all around. I think that they are 12 ply, and the sides, according to the tire, you can't bust them. See that? Durawall. Puncture resistant. Yeah, giggity. So with that, the beefier tread, the better look, and the bigger tires. Those are the main reasons. But here is the biggest reason of all that I did these tires. They are dirt fucking cheap. They are dirt cheap. Alright? I was looking to replace my tires anyhow when this option was given to me, and I bought all four tires with all four rims. Delivered was like $1,100. A new set of Nitto Trail Grappler 35 by 12.5 20s were $1,700 before tax. That's just the tire that I was looking at. And those are 35s. These are 37s. So these are cheap, dirt cheap. And just the tires alone, next time I go to change them, since I'm not changing the rim, obviously, it will only cost me about $400 to $450 for a new set of tires. That's 80 to 90% of tread left on them. As you see, mine are 90s. So that's why I'm doing this. They're dirt cheap. They look awesome. I mean, it's a win-win situation. Okay, are spacers safe? Are they safe to use, and should we really be doing this the way that I just showed you? Spacers have been around since the early to mid-70s. They've been used in a wide range of vehicles, from heavy hauling to racing. As long as you're getting the correct spacer and you're installing it correctly, not stripping out any threads, you get the right kind of lug nut to put on it. You know, not a flat bottom, but a beveled bottom. Couldn't think of it. As long as you're doing things correctly, make sure everything's tight. Yes, spacers are really safe. Now, you hear the biggest thing, they're not meant, you know, for hard cornering and whatnot. Well, I mean, no, they're kind of not. But, I mean, you could also search on YouTube. There are videos of people testing out the wheel spacers on, I believe it was a Ford Explorer, where he corners so hard without the spacers, he damn near flips. Puts the spacers on, tries it again, saves them. So, are they safe? Yes. Yes, they are. Now, are doubling them up safe like I did in the front? Okay, well, here's where we're going to get in a gray area. They were not meant to go one on top of the other. Yes, they can, and with enough care, you could use that. But they are not meant to do that, so I'm not going to be driving on the highway until I get a new spacer. What about increasing load? Is there an increased load on your axles and whatnot from doing a spacer? No, not really. As I showed you earlier, putting one spacer on that hub is the same as putting on a hub from the back. So, I mean, it's really not increasing any load into the axle, and the center line of your tire, your gravity, hasn't really changed. You're just compensating with a spacer for the back set that's incorrect. So, I mean, you're not really fucking up anything more than you would by adding big tires anyhow. So, yeah, let's move on from that. Another frequently asked question was, could I use the stock cap, the stock cover, to go on the wheels? Well, as you can see, I've already done that, and it looks pretty decent, so yes, you can. How much lift does using these 37-inch tires on a 2-inch leveling kit give me? About another 2 inches, maybe 2.5. So, but overall, I like it. I really think it's going to run great. Some other trimming things that need to be done, but, you know, that's no big deal, really. I mean, that can be done, you know, with ease. So for now, guys,